So this here is my dad's 1989 Toyota pickup. It's carbureted, and he had the motor replaced, replaced with the same motor. So it was not a swap or anything. It's still a 22R motor, and that was basically all he's done to it, with the exception of little paint stuff here and there. Seat cover, a cheap ass Samurai or Katana, whatever you want to call that, whatever it is. Shifter, broke ass hood pop, hood hinge, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, paint. That's it. That's the motor. Nothing fancy at all. Just a lot of vacuum lines. Oh my god, the amount of vacuum lines on this thing is crazy. So in about 2012, we replaced the motor, maybe 2013. And in 2014, we put the motor in, started messing around with it and everything. And it was sat ever since. So from 2014 until 2019 is when my dad first started driving it. The problem is that he wanted to be comfortable while he drove it around. He wanted it to look good. He didn't want to drive it when it looked like a white piece of shit box. But I think the white captures the classic look of how this thing is supposed to look. So in about 2013, when we were messing around with the motor, putting all the components on it and putting the carburetor on it and everything, we had the original carburetor, which might not have been the original carburetor, original to us, the carburetor the motor came with, and a Datsun carburetor from my grandfather back in the day. I mashed them together and made one, like with linkage and stuff like that, and it worked. It wasn't very strong. The throttle was pretty sloppy, but with adjustment, it got there. The seals on it haven't held very well, so the thing is pretty caked in oil and grease and fairly neglected. Not necessarily neglected, but fairly neglected. My dad is pretty good with his simple maintenance, like oil changes and just oil changes. So this is a simple 22R motor, carbureted. It's not fuel injected or anything. It's California emissions, smog pump. Well, this is the AC unit, but the smog pump's down here. Smog pumped and everything works. He's got cold AC that he's retrofitted. To be honest with you, that AC is pretty cold, but we all know that small single cab trucks get really cold when you have decent working AC. I'm jealous of it. It's hot as hell in Arizona. He's got a really bad exhaust leak, and we're gonna figure that out eventually. Oh, I didn't notice this. He's got a cracked. Look at that. That's not too bad though. So what we're gonna be doing today though is we're gonna be replacing steering components and suspension. We're doing the front suspension for it, because like I said, the only thing that was replaced was the motor itself. Some of the components were kept, some of them were replaced. Calipers are the same, the suspension's the same from the 80s. I guarantee that's original parts. This thing only had 150 or 170,000 miles, but the motor was seized, and then as it was sitting, apparently, allegedly, parts were being swapped off of it and put onto another truck that was similar. So that's why I say maybe that carburetor was original, maybe it wasn't. But this is the Oyo, we call it. I'll show you why. The Oyo. Oyo. So some people call their trucks Tacomas. Some of them call them Yodas, Toyos. This one's Oyo because it used to have a pinstripe that went down the side and all the way around and, background. And we were using an eraser wheel and we started erasing stuff, and we just erased the T's and the A. I don't remember why I think we started on the right hand side, and then my dad got distracted, or I did, whoever was doing it, and then we just started back again on the left side, and it said Oyo, and I look at it and I go, Dad, we should call the truck Oyo. And ever since then, it's been called Oyo. So this is the Oyo. It's a 1989 Toyota pickup. It is plain white, with the exception of these Seacock colors over here. It looks like shit, and my dad needs to do something about it, but he wants this. He likes this color blue because this is royal blue, and it represents the colors that are on Nicaragua's flag, so that's why he loves it. This green, I think he just liked the green for some reason, and then the silver was to match, I don't exactly remember, we'd have to ask him, but I want to say it was to match the colors. Either that or these two colors he got for free, and he just was trying to do a budget paint job. And this is the color he actually bought. But this was like 10 years ago when he did this. And he was drunk as hell when he did it. It was hilarious. And he thinks he did so well on it, but yeah, he really didn't. And it's funny because my dad is actually a painter, and he could do a million times better than that. So maybe we'll meet him if he comes over and helps me out. We'll talk about his truck and his plans. He's gonna need to get new headlights because they're cracked, and it's probably a good thing because these things were cheap little pieces of shit anyways. Maybe get some clear ones of those. Some well, I don't know if those are his blinkers. They might be the daylights. They're probably the blinkers on the side. Yeah, those might be the running lights or daylights, whatever you want to call them. He's gonna need a new bumper. I'll ask him what his plan is. I got a feeling he's not really gonna do much with it. He just uses it to daily drive at this point. So this is probably the first time I've touched this truck in like probably close to 5 years. I mean, under the hood, not driving it. But I could show you one problem we're having already just by quickly jacking it up and then noticing how this tire was kicked outwards towards the front and the other tire is straight. So this is a problem that my dad's having, and he's just having sloppy steering, and he feels like he hits a bump and then he's going crazy all over the road and stuff. That comes with a very loose, sloppy suspension, which obviously is what we're experiencing here. But if you take a look right here, just watch it as I just move the tire in. See that? Look at that. That's your idle arm, and that's supposed to help keep the truck a little bit more stiff with the steering and everything. And you got one bushing here. This is the whole thing. We got a new one and a new arm. That's being replaced. The whole arm is being replaced. Both control arms on both sides. So it's getting a desperately needed touch up.
Another problem. Something just came loose. It might be a spacer. I don't know. It's just a spacer. That's all it is. But, that looks like a spacer to me, but he's missing the cap here. Oh.
Tie rods, real sloppy and loose. Absolutely not what you want to see. That's okay. We have new ones also. And the cool thing is that we could just disconnect them from here and here, and I'll get the exact measurement so he could safely drive it down to the shop to get an alignment. These bushings are really worn here. Ball joints. Not a whole lot of play in them though. He probably should get a new shock too while we're at it. I mean, why not? Add comfortability better. Oh, we didn't get these sway bar bushings, but we probably go get them soon while I'm down here. So here's where we're at. We got the new lower control arm in, not exactly tightened and bolted in yet. We got the upper control arm in and bolted down. This thing's ready to roll. We got new sway bar link bushings set up. My dad is going to go get the sway bar bushings for the actual sway bar itself. And the biggest pain in the ass of this all probably was busting loose the nuts in the back, the locking nuts for the torsion bar. I still got to do the other side. That's been untouched. So that's going to be not a lot of fun, I can guarantee you that. All right, big fellas, my dad's truck is out of here. I ended up wrapping it up the same way I did the passenger side. Here we are on to the next project though, which is going to be the 54 again.